Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm really glad that you can make it, and I hope that you have a little bit of time where you can bust out your sketchbooks and you get your pen, get your pencil, and doodle along with me. So I have a specific lesson tonight, and that is I'm going to show you how I build a creature from scratch and then apply the anatomy to it, especially if I'm completely making a creature up and I don't necessarily have all of the animal reference in front of me to where I need to look at specific things, like hooves and wings and what the neck muscles in a horse look like because my creature looks like a horse, or whatever it may turn out to be. So I'm going to be also giving you some little nuggets here and there of information about how you can draw freely without worrying too much about your design, making it look perfect. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm just using a Bic ballpoint pen. I like using Bic because the ink is nice, the pens are nice, and I've just gotten used to it over the years. So first things first, I am establishing the larger shapes. That is the very first thing that I do. Okay, and which is also one of the biggest mistakes that aspiring concept artists make. And they don't do this, and they jump right into crazy details and things that normally wouldn't work. For example, oh my gosh, I'm gonna design this creature with 52 rows of spikes going down the back, and you haven't even determined what the back muscles look like yet. So you're then at the mercy of designing around the details instead of getting the big shapes in and designing the small details around the large shapes, which is much easier and also smarter. Work smarter, not harder, folks. It's a cliche thing to say, but it is a very true thing to say, especially when it comes to art. And also, if you've noticed, I am free-flowing with my sketches right now, or my sketch, I'm sorry. That is, I'm letting the lines fall where they may, and then wherever they end up, I'm going to determine at a later point how I can use that to my advantage, especially for the anatomy. The creature that I'm making right now could be a mixture of a crustacean and maybe a hermit crab and or a coconut crab. Those of you that have seen coconut crabs, in person especially, they're terrifying looking. They're very ancient looking, very prehistoric, and they're also beautiful at the same time. That's one of the hardest things to do about creature design, especially if you're doing something hellish and disgusting and evil and grotesque, whatever you want to call it, is to make it beautiful. So one of the ways to make your creations beautiful is to make it functional and believable. So let me explain that. Have you ever noticed when you go to the movies and you see just an absolutely disgusting abomination trying to, hurt the main character, kill them, chase them, whatever? As gross and as disgusting and evil as they are, you can't help be mesmerized by how good they look. I remember seeing, the demon Valak in The Conjuring, and when you see Valak, you're just like, that thing is incredibly evil looking. When you really look at that design, especially from Aaron Sims. If you're not familiar with Aaron Sims Creative, they're a visual effects house in Los Angeles, but they also specialize in concepting for creatures. They did a phenomenal job with the original designs for that thing. And there are plenty of other just nasty creatures that are beautiful. I mean, think about The Thing. The Thing is disgusting. We're talking 1981, folks, Kurt Russell. Disgusting. And many different iterations come throughout that movie. You got the dogs, you have hundreds of thousands of years of that microorganism collecting DNA from other species that it had killed and mimicked, and they all come pouring out at the end, which is crazy. So now we have a pretty cool, compact creature established here. This is when I'm going in and thinking about the anatomy. So remember what I said about getting the larger shapes in first. If I have a hardened shell or a spike, a tooth, an appendage, something that pops off of the body, I need to think immediately, about the bone structure that these large shapes are attached to under the skin. The second main thing that I want to teach to you guys about tonight, and that is bone structure. So when you look at this creature now, you can see the bony landmarks coming through the design. For example, the arm joint under here before it attaches to the main body, it kind of looks like an elbow joint. I repeated that elbow joint under this part too. And then up here, we can clearly see that the overall body is spherical in nature. I can lightly place in a sphere if I wanted, and nothing would hurt the design because I'm not counteracting what I had previously designed for it. And then you see these really weird appendages coming off. Now, I don't know what those are yet. From this design, I'm thinking, hey, this would be kind of a cool creature in StarCraft, or some kind of NPC that you just shoot because they annoy you and you just need to get through the level. But what if these were little appendages, and at the end of them could be like a little two-fingered hook? I don't know, that's kind of creepy, but also neat at the same time. And maybe if it traveled really fast across the ground or nest or layer, I don't know, whatever it lives on or in, maybe they can tuck these little arms in, and then when they attack, they shoot out and they grab you. So let's hook those little claws in there. If you're following along with me so far, and you're scribbling, but you don't really know what your creature is yet, that's okay. Stand up, take a deep breath, go drink some caffeine, go do something to where you're taking your mind off of this real quick. Come back to it, recharge, and then you might just get a new idea. Also, let's say you're sitting here and you have a bunch of lines flowing together, but no real creature is coming out of those lines. I want you to study everything from the bottom to the top and ask yourself, what's the largest shape that you see first? If you see a large shape, have that be a major arm or a leg, or in this case, an appendage. You know, like we have these crab-like legs coming off of the body. That's what I did, because when I first started this drawing, you saw me do the round shape, but you also saw me do these very large, curved, almost crab-like hands. I mean, if you want to call them hands, I don't know, arms, legs, whatever. Now, here's something that I really need to think about, and this just now occurred to me. This thing is huge, okay? It needs to come out of somewhere, doesn't it? But what happened is I didn't even think about this before. This large claw is really close to this. So that means the spacing in between these two are going to have two rubbing joints against each other, and that's not going to work too well. So my solution is to keep the bottom of this absolutely tremendously large hooked hand, keep that shallow, and then I'm going to extend the arm of it up on top of the head like this, so that if this arm were to come down in this direction, it could do so while leaving space for this little arm right here. This is Anatomy 101. Okay, you have to make sure that whatever you're creating is functional. So look at your sketches right now and ask yourself, even if I gave my creature one functional feature, if it's gills on the neck, if it's a poison sac, or if it's a retractable claw especially, how is it going to be functional and how is it going to help the creature? All right, now, I'm already thinking of the functionality of this little beast right here. I'm thinking it's probably aquatic, okay, and it probably lives in maybe a tropical setting that's similar to where crabs live now. Maybe it lives near the ocean or whatever. And it needs to be compact but also fast. So maybe it needs to get away from whatever bigger predator might be. Maybe this thing is definitely not an apex predator. Maybe this thing is just one part of the ecosystem, one part of the biome, and it's just chilling. All right. Now, these claws that are actually touching the ground, these are very important to my design. Okay, so the way I would tackle that is, since This is the money shot right here, and especially in the front. When you're doing a creature, especially in side view like this would be the selling point. Okay, so you would make this stand out more than the others. So what I could do is then put in a hint of more detail. Okay, I'm pretty happy about the overall shape of the claw. But what if I put these small little ridged spikes going down the shape here? And I would have to repeat that too. So I'm looking at the outer side of this one, and I'm just going to hint at some of those sharp little shapes. And repetition is key in design. It's one of the principles of design. So remember what I said about the larger shapes first, and then you move into the secondary, and then you'll move into the tertiary shape. So after we get these spikes in here, I'm going to play up this theme of these spiked ridges, and I'm just going to do it to these claws too, right on the outside, and make sure that they're visible. And I'm going to go to this one. They're going to be more rounded because this claw over here, let me move the sketchbook up. This claw over here is placed a little bit more to the side, so I'm just going to put like a little oval and then a dot in the middle to show where the pinpoint is on the spike. I think that'll help. And I'm also already satisfied with the lower part of the body, so I think what I'll do is just darken it a tad. There we go. Just had an idea, not sure it's going to work, but let's do it. So I'm checking out these two shoulder joints. I'm just going to call them shoulder joints because unknowingly, originally this was the shape of an arrow, but I'm going to consider this a happy accident. This happy accident turning into a head. So let's put some eye sockets in here. This is going to be pretty gnarly. We're probably going to go really old school on this and just put in a skull, but not a human skull, obviously. It's going to be slightly humanoid, and there's going to be a gnarly little face down here. The only thing is I need to be very careful about how I handle this because there's really no neck. Okay, so maybe this is a rather non-functioning mouth. I'm just going to put big teeth coming out. Man, this is definitely Dungeons and Dragons going on here. Originally I was thinking Doom, but I have nothing mechanized right. There's no biomechanoid shapes. There's no machinery mixed in, augmented with this thing. I mean, yeah, I could be putting bazookas on the top. Oh man, maybe I should do that. I don't know. Comment below if you guys want to see me do some Doom creatures. Maybe. Shout out to Emerson Tung, art director there. I love your stuff, man. I don't even know if you watch my channel, but Emerson, you're awesome. Can't wait for the new Doom coming out. We got some big, thick shoulders here. So watch my pen as I very lightly flow across the contour of this giant shape. Large shapes first. I'm compartmentalizing where the deltoid would be, where the bicep would be, where this creature's elbow would be, and then I guess as you travel up this large spiked hand that's like a crab, that actually is the hand. So maybe it walks along in a chomping motion or a stomping motion with it. Oh, it's so much fun when you just go with the flow, not really knowing how it's going to end up, but once you embrace those changes, you'd be surprised at what you can actually come up with. So this is a lot of fun. Now inside the mouth, I'm going to have to get pretty dark, so I'm just going to press harder. I normally don't press this hard with ink, especially a ballpoint. There is an exception for this case, because I do not want the tone of all of the scribble markings with my pen to interrupt what's going on with the inside of the mouth, because there's no light penetrating inside of there. So I completely forgot the past couple videos where I've done some creature design to ask everybody viewing, what would you name this creature? Well, what is its name? I already named the last one Carl. I don't think he looks like a Carl. Could be a she too, so if it's a she, let me know what her name is. Maybe I can put, oh, you know what? We'll have it be ambiguous. There we go. Now it just looks like something from Nightmares. You know me, I gotta draw my dark fantasy. So maybe our good friend here is stuck in a wind tunnel, or just a very hellish landscape and it's so windy. Okay, I'm gonna put in just a little bit of values right around the hair roots and blending in the end of the hair root where it attaches to the head. I think it is a girl now. Guys can have long hair too, but I don't know. Something tells me that this is like a really upset demonic mom looking for their babies. Looking for her babies, so we'll see. Let's check out the anatomy again. We have the overall spherical shape. Okay, that's the main body. And then we have these large crab-like hands / feet. And we also want to make sure that the perspective is in. So we'll put this back one showing up behind it. The middle leg, let's draw the little torso right here. And then the middle leg wouldn't be happening until about right here. So it's going to be hiding behind there if you were to want true perspective on that. So maybe we can hint at it with a little bit of a shadow. Okay, now remember what I said before, the main selling point is this whole front section right here. So another part of anatomy that I have to think about, and that you guys should be thinking about if you're following along with me, is that if you have a bone or fingernail type material growing out of the skin, you have to give room for the skin to grow over top of where that thing is growing. But that's a horrible wording. Check the skin out. How does the skin grow with the spikes and horns and fingernails or whatever else you're putting? There, that's so much better. I don't know what the heck I was trying to say before. Sometimes I was getting way too technical. The inside spikes on the front left leg too. Also, if you're, just a little trick, you don't want to leave triangles or half-done triangles. If you got a spike growing out of a smaller spike or a larger spike, put in a little bit of the base, just lightly, so that it looks like a different material coming out. Okay, and make sure it's light also so that it blends in with the original shape. You want these little things to look finished. You don't want them to look like you accidentally put something there. Remember, this is your design. This isn't your accident. Even though I was talking about happy accidents before, yes, but it's up to you to form them into something functional and believable. Remember what I was talking about with finding beauty even in the most disgusting of designs. All right, this is one of those nasty designs. Okay. And look, we're having so much fun here. I'm having a blast. I love drawing this stuff. But we're having so much fun here. I haven't even colored it. You'll probably see a colored version on the thumbnail because, you know, I want you guys to click on it to watch it. I'm not going to lie. I always thought color would help. But anyway, I wanted you to see the raw version of my sketch. It's just like reading a novel, you know, with just words. It's up to you to form the vision in your head of whatever character or creature or place you're looking at, what that final design looks like. There we go. Okay, cool. Another thing about joints. Here's something that I like doing in a lot of my creatures if I want to get creepy with them, and that is mixing in a little bit of human DNA, a little bit of human anatomy with my creatures. If I have an arm joint, I just look at my own forearm, or I look at my own wrist or my elbow, or Google human anatomy for 2 seconds. Be like, you know what? What does it look like if, you know, the bicep attaches to the armpit? How does that look? Or how does it look when a forearm has, you know, it's bunched up like weightlifters do, and you see the brachialis muscle, everything squeezed together, and you have your wrist joint coming out. Bony landmarks, folks. Bony landmarks. Okay, it's very important. And now that we have a really cool overall silhouette established, by the way, you'll know you have a good silhouette if you take a magic marker and you color everything in to the T. And if it still stands out as a character that you invented, then you got a good silhouette. If it just looks like a blob and it's too complicated and nothing is really, interesting on the outside of the creature, then it's boring and the design sucks and you need to start over. And it's okay if it sucks. Not everything we do is going to be good. There we go. Okay. Also, if you want to force yourself to get better, use a pen. That way you're not at the mercy of your eraser. Now I'm just kind of putting in some random little imperfections in the skin, or maybe some protective skin spikes that have evolved with this creature over a millennia or however old it is. There we go. What would you name this thing? I don't know. Give it a good one. Does it look like a Helga, or does it look like a Bert? I don't know. I don't think I've named any of my creatures on my channel Bert. That'd be a hilarious name for it, though. Does it look like a Bert? We've had George. We've had Kyle. We've had those. I don't think we've had a Todd. Oh, it's getting late. I'm so corny sometimes. Thank you guys for putting up with me, seriously. Okay. So there you have it, folks. This is how I would build a creature. Okay, now here's what we've been talking about. Silhouette, large shapes first, bone structure, bony landmarks, and then tertiary details after you get everything done. Okay? Comment below if you enjoyed tonight's lesson. Let me know what you're working on. Check the links in the description for our Creature Design Workshop Discord. I also hold a mentorship where I teach people the fundamentals of drawing. So if you want to learn how to do cubes, cones, cylinders, and spheres, I take all skill levels. Literally all. You know what? I should not have used the word literally because I wasn't talking about words. I just totally did not use that correctly. I take all skill levels. So if you feel intimidated or whatever, don't worry about it. There it is. Name this thing below. I want to thank everybody for watching this, especially if the YouTube algorithm brought you in. You have no idea why you just watched me doodle a creature from another dimension for the past 20 minutes. Thanks again. I really appreciate y'all. Peace.